I'm Evelyn. I'm 81 years old. For years, people have known me as the strong woman. If something broke in the family, I fixed it. If someone cried, I comforted them. I carried everyone's burdens and barely noticed my own.
Ms. Evelyn, everyone describes you as a strong woman. So what was the day that made you give up the role of the strong woman at 81?
Let me be honest, that day wasn't a big fight or a dramatic turning point. It was an ordinary morning triggered by the most ordinary sentence. Ordinary things can be the most dangerous because we label them normal and stop paying attention. That morning, I was pouring hot water into a cup to make coffee when my phone rang. My son's name lit up the screen. I answered and I heard the panic in his voice, the same tone he always used when something was wrong. Mom, can you take care of this for me today? I can't make it. Before I could even ask what it was, he kept talking. A doctor's appointment, paperwork, a payment that needed to be made. You're quick, you'll handle it right away, he said. Then he hung up before I could respond, as if it wasn't a request, but an assignment. A few minutes later, my daughter called. Mom, can you pick up the kids from school? I've got a meeting, she said. Then my neighbor texted, Evelyn, I'm struggling with this form. Can you help me? And from the living room, my husband called out, Honey, did you find the medicine? The calendar sat on the kitchen table. My name wasn't written in any of the squares. Everyone else's was. My day looked like empty space divided up by other people's needs. And I was the one who filled that space every time because I was the strong one, right? When I reached for the phone, I realized how automatic I had become. Okay, I'll take care of it. My heart wasn't deciding it, but my mouth kept saying it. Yet that morning, a tiny voice inside me whispered, Stop, enough. It was quiet, but it was there. Still, without resisting, I said to my daughter, okay, I'll take care of it, and hung up. And for the first time, I asked myself, who am I today, Evelyn? I'd heard that question before, but always from other people, dressed up as a compliment. You're strong, and that phrase for me became a lock. If you're strong, you can't complain. If you're strong, you can't rest. If you're strong, you can't say, I'm breaking too. That morning, I looked at the woman in the mirror. Her shoulders were upright, but inside she was worn down. I touched the album cover on the table, and it felt like the voice of all those years leaned in and said, Evelyn, you again. That voice wasn't new. It had been with me since childhood. In our house, being strong wasn't a choice. It was a requirement. When my father left early, my mother didn't sit at the table and cry for hours. She rolled up her sleeves, turned to me and said, if you're going to cry, you can cry later. Right now, we have to stand tall. Something switched inside me that day. It was like I put a lid on my emotions. It was the same at school. Teachers would say, Evelyn is mature. I would break up my friends' fights. If someone panicked over a test, I shared my notes. No one asked if I was scared too, because I was always the one who managed. Over time, that role became my identity. Once you get labeled as you can handle it, it starts to feel like love is conditional, like you'll lose it if you don't. Then I got married. In the early years, my husband praised me for how resilient I was. Praise can sound like flowers, but sometimes the roots are thorns. When I got tired, instead of saying, can you help me? I moved faster. I organized better. I slept less because I believe strong people don't ask for help. Strong people just handle it. When the children were born, it became even more ingrained. I carried the invisible tasks, noticing the milk running low, scheduling appointments, buying birthday gifts, tracking everyone's moods. And when my energy ran out, the phrase, Evelyn will take care of it, became an automatic response. I never objected. So over the years, it settled into everyone's mind like a rule. As I say all of this now, I remember one thing clearly. I didn't create the strong one role alone, but I did keep it alive because it was easier than saying no, because I believed that if I showed vulnerability, my value would shrink. If any of this hits close to home, please say so we know we're not alone. And share this story with a friend who feels like she always has to be strong. Maybe it will take a little weight off her shoulders. That morning in the kitchen, all those years ran through me like a movie reel. And for the first time, I realized something. Being strong had also meant living in a way where no one ever held me. I closed the album. I picked up my phone again. My fingers moved to type, okay, and then they stopped. I stared at the blank space on the screen. The old fear from childhood rose up. If you don't do it, you're selfish. At the same time, another voice rose up. If you do it again, you're abandoning yourself. And for the first time, I truly felt which one I was choosing. All of it hit me at once, and I reached a breaking point. That breaking point began with a single message. With my son's words still echoing in my ears, I typed, I can't do it today. You need to figure it out. I hit send. No heart emoji, no explanation, no long excuse. My fingers trembled for a second. It felt like I was using my own voice for the first time in years. As soon as I sent it, guilt surged up. Familiar, heavy, sticky. Now he'll be hurt. Now you'll be alone. Now you've been selfish, it whispered. A few seconds later, my phone rang. It was my son. Mom, are you okay? He asked. His voice had changed, concern and surprise. Normally, I would have rushed to explain. No, honey, I'm fine. I'm just tired. I'll handle it, I would say. Those words were a reflex, but this time only this came out. I'm fine, but today I won't do it. There was silence on the other end. In that silence, you could feel the weight of the role I'd carried for years. The strong one role makes people flinch when you push back because they're used to your function, not your limits. My son finally said, okay, but that okay didn't sound like relief. It sounded like discomfort, like the usual order had been disrupted. After the call ended, I stood in the middle of the kitchen. Steam rose from the tea and hit my face. My heart pounded like I'd committed a crime, and yet at the same time, a tiny space opened in my chest. That space felt like breathing. That day, I decided to go to my own appointment. Yes, my own appointment. A small checkup I'd postponed for years, always placing other people first. Even as I got into the car, my mind tried to drift back to them. I'll get that done when I get home. Then I caught myself. No, Evelyn, I told myself. Today, you're not running for anyone. Today, you're showing up for you. When I arrived at the hospital, the corridors felt cold. White walls, harsh lights. My name was called. I went in, I came out. Then I sat down in a waiting area, bag on my lap, phone in my hand. Instinctively, I thought I should let someone know. I called my husband. He was busy. I sent a text. It was read. No reply. I called my daughter. I'm in a meeting, she said. I called my son. He didn't answer. Just then, a nurse walked by, paused, and asked a very simple question. Who is with you? That sentence was the breaking point, because for years I had been the one with everyone else. But was anyone with me? I wanted to say, they'll be here soon. I wanted to say, just a minute. But my voice stuck in my throat. I only shook my head. The nurse glanced at me, not with pity, but as if she already knew the truth. And in that moment, I knew it too. Being strong had made it easy for me to be left alone. And for the first time in that white corridor, in those minutes when no one came, I accepted it. Sitting there, I noticed an older man across from me. A woman held his arm. She adjusted his jacket, handed him water, and rested her head on his shoulder like she was saying, I'm here. No drama, no big display, just presence. For years, I'd lived the opposite. I would stand there and everyone else would scatter. I picked up my phone again, this time not to inform, but to ask. I called my daughter. She answered quickly. Mom, make it fast. I'm in a meeting. In the past, I would have backed down. Okay, sweetheart, we'll talk later, I'd say. That day, I didn't. Your meeting will end, I said. I'm at the hospital. I want you to be with me. She went quiet. Then came the sentence, Mom, you'll handle it. It hurt because she didn't mean to be cruel. It was simply the rule of our life. I took a deep breath. I won't handle it today, I said. I want you with me just once. The words left my mouth, and it felt like a door that had been locked for years finally opened. My daughter's voice softened. Okay, she said. This time it was a real okay. I'm coming. My eyes filled with tears in that hallway, but it wasn't a breakdown. It was my body saying, finally. Asking for help wasn't weakness. The real weakness was believing you didn't need anyone. When I got home, the same clock, sat in the kitchen, the same teapot, the same album, but I wasn't the same Evelyn. My husband said, where were you? I could hear reproach in his voice. I used to apologize. I used to explain. This time I only said, I was at the doctor's, and believe me, I didn't have a big talk that day. Big talks can create a new role. I didn't want a role. I wanted boundaries, small, clear, not up for debate. Let me say this too. The guilt that comes after you say no, that was my oldest addiction. If you also think I feel awful when I say no, then the next video will be about exactly that. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it, because boundaries don't last long if you don't know how to handle guilt. That night, lying in bed, I felt a fear. What if they love me less? Then for the first time, another question came. What if I love myself more? And the answer was as simple as the nurse's question in that white hallway. Then finally someone will be by my side. When I woke up the next morning, the world hadn't changed. The phone rang again. The request came again. The difference was this: I no longer said yes as my first reflex. I checked in with myself first. Do I have the energy? Do I truly want to do this? And most of the time, for the first time, I could actually hear my own answer. My son called again that week. Mom, can you handle this too? The urgency in his voice was the same. I answered calmly, like I was gently closing a door. No, this time you'll handle it. Why? He asked, automatic, familiar. There it was, the trap I'd fallen into for years. Explanation. Explanation pulls you back into negotiation. It turns a boundary into a debate. So I said only this, because I won't. That sentence wasn't empty. For the first time, it was full. There was a short silence on the line, and then I realized something. The world didn't end. No one died. Only habits were shaken. That evening, my husband looked at me in the kitchen and said, "You look very tired today." In the past, I would have said, "No, I'm fine," forced myself up and set the table anyway. This time I said, "Yes, I'm tired. Can you set the table?" He paused. Then he stood up and did it. It was a small gesture, but for me, it was a huge threshold because for the first time, I chose to be human instead of being the strong woman.
Ms. Evelyn, if you had to say one thing to young women today about boundaries, guilt, and self-worth, what would you say?
I would say this, being strong can be a virtue, but constantly being strong becomes a prison. If you give from yourself every day, that isn't generosity. It's slowly erasing yourself. And when you feel guilty, remember this. Guilt often shows up not because you did something wrong, but because you disrupted the usual order. Carry these lines in your pocket. I can't do that right now. I won't take that on. If you try one of them for the first time today, tell me in the comments which one you chose. Send this video to someone who feels like she always has to be strong. Sometimes being there for someone is better than giving them a solution. The day I understood that, I realized I'd been holding my whole life from the wrong angle. I thought I earned love by giving everyone solutions. But love is measured by sharing someone's burden, not by watching them carry everything alone. So now I have a small rule at home. No matter who calls, I ask myself first, if I do this, what will I lose from my own life? If the answer is my rest or my health, then I keep it simple. Short conversation, no explaining, no defending. I spent years trying to convince people. Now I'm learning to stay true to myself. At first, everyone wanted the old Evelyn back. That's who you are, they said. You're the strong one. And for the first time, I said, I don't want to be strong. I want someone by my side. That sentence angered some people, embarrassed others, and helped a few of them grow. Now, when my daughter calls, she asks, "Are you available?" before she asks for anything. My son is learning to solve his own problems. My husband has started to notice the invisible tasks around the house, things I used to do quietly without a word. Is everything perfect? No, but it's real, and real is better than perfect. Now I'm opening the album again. In those old photos, there's a young woman, hair tied back, eyes tired, but smiling. That smile always carried the same words, "I'll take care of it." Today, I look at that photo and say, you're not alone anymore. Sometimes what heals us most isn't other people changing. It's the sentence we finally change inside ourselves. If you saw a piece of yourself in my story, your like really matters because I want this to reach more women who are carrying too much. Share your thoughts in the comments. One sentence can be the beginning of a new life. And please share this with a friend who's always carrying a heavy load. Maybe for the first time, she'll find the courage to say, I'm tired too. I'm Evelyn. I'm 81 years old, and I don't have to be the strong one anymore. I'm just human.